quickly go through the rest of the material because it's getting close to lunchtime. There's a number of studies that shows there's disparities in the way we treat people and disparities in the way people live their lives. In this one study, they found that if a white male had a record, they were more likely to get a call back for a job than a black male who did not have a record. Look at the 17% for the white male with a record and the 14% with the black male with no record. This is the poverty level of the latest census, 2013. We can clearly see that black and Native Americans have the highest, followed by Hispanics at 28, 29, and 25% compared to 13% for white families. Also, our incarceration system. Now, you can go on Prison Policy Initiative and see it for every state or the country as a whole, but this is Massachusetts. Per 100,000 people, we have 1,500, a little bit over, of black individuals incarcerated compared to 241 for white. They're at the highest level across all races. A very long study done by a sociologist called The Long Shadow found that poor black American males were more likely to be arrested and had a much more difficult time getting jobs with that criminal record, even though their white counterparts had higher drug uses and used harsher drugs. That's a 28-year study that they did. So it was happening then, and it's happening now. So what's the bottom line here? We have a vicious cycle of systemic racism, and somewhere, somehow, we together need to stop this cycle. And that's why I'm asking those of you who do want to come to school for psychology, come to my programs, because this is, I need you to help me with this.
The video you were talking about.
The mother, the pregnant mother, the health videos?
No, the video with the girl that in the desk. That girl.
Oh, the black and white doll?
No, the girl that got flipped over the desk.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, that girl tried to hit the cop in the video.
She tried to hit the cop in the video?
Yeah.
Oh, she didn't.
She did.
So do you think that justifies his behavior?
No, he was wrong. He was wrong, period.
Right.
But like, there was like two wrongs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But she didn't want to give up her cell phone. That's the reason he did that.
Whatever happened with, as far as him getting fired, like, I don't really have any say either way. But like, in the video, like, when he was trying to grab her up, she went and tried to slap him. So at the end of the day, they both wrong.
Remember, psychologically, the fight or flight response, your brain is going to react, right? If you feel like you're at risk, you're either going to fight, you're going to run away, or you're going to freeze, right? Maybe that's what her reaction was, and I'm not saying that it was right. She should have given up her cell phone, of course, you know, or being body slammed.
He definitely forced him to flipped her over that desk.
Yeah, he did. And then he threw her across the room.
I have to take the phone every now and then. I would never, ever do something like that. If you didn't give up, it's a phone. If you didn't give up your phone, we need to discuss it later. I should never put my hands on you, yell, cuss, flip the desk.
Yeah, I want to address what he said. In racism, right, in situations like this, okay, the hindsight rhetoric or the hindsight perspective, you're right, she did try to hit that man. But in the immediate, when it was going on, it was a defensive technique. If I came and grabbed you by your neck right now, your instinct would be to reach for my hand or to hit me to get you off. It was not an offensive thing that she did. It was defensive. So it can't be considered in what this guy did or how she acted or racism. That's a natural defensive technique.
You don't really know what's going on in the video until you read the description or anything. Like, you just see what's going on. And all I read was like one little comment there that I had to watch it like 5 times.
You can't read it because
I had to watch it 5 times.
That's the hindsight rhetoric that they're using to protect this man. It was a defensive move that she did. Right? It's spontaneous. Anybody in this room would do it. Anybody. All right? Because it's defensive, self-preservation. She did not hit that man. Go ahead.
Like this, talks like this all the time when I was younger, you know, and then I would come and, you know, sleep, You know, I would hear what you guys were saying. It would like impact me a lot. And then I'd go back to the environment that I came from. I grew up in Hartford.
Yeah.
I seen you around. I know what you do for the community. You also know that 3 dozen people were shot and killed over the summer. So what you guys are saying is like, I get it, but you're saying that it's ingrained in us to have these kind of mental processes and reactions and thoughts, but how are we supposed to combat? You're not telling us how to combat something that you've grown up learning, you know? Like Gordon Allport, a notable psychologist, wrote The Nature of Prejudice, and he put that humans, they simplify complex concepts, and one of those methods is stereotype. You know, he didn't come at it as like a negative mental process, but from extenuating factors like social influences or environment, that degrades into prejudice. You know, so how can we combat something that is part of us, part of every day? Like you're saying that it's paranoia that we have when you see cops, you know. For you it might be paranoia, for me it's outright fear. You know, it's outright fear, because I'm gonna drive home to Hartford, and I know I'm about to get pulled over. Like it is what it is. But to tell me not to be afraid, that's all good and well, but how should I not be afraid? How should I not look at somebody with a fairer skin color and think that they're not better?
I agree, and you're doing exactly what you should be doing, is learning stuff, getting knowledge from people who have been through it, like Nathaniel, like the Reverend, myself, other people who have been through it. And you guys are young. You guys, you know, what the work that I do it for you and for my grandchildren, because I'm not going to see the benefits of the work that I do, right? I'm going to be long, dead and gone when something changes. But something has to change, and we have to keep working at changing it. And it's a system, right? Because I can't change the next white person, right? If I think they're racist. I have to change the system so the system doesn't react to my skin color or my name in a negative way just because of my skin color or my name. Yes.
I have a son that looks like him. When he was 7 years old, he was 6 feet tall.
Wow.
6 feet at 7 years old. Then you get a call from school. I would tell him, don't say anything. Let me come in. I will take care of it. Because if you say something, then when I get there, they got to deal with the behavior. I got you if you just don't say nothing. I also teach them, when you're in a car and the cops pull you over, you put both hands on the steering wheel, you look straight ahead, and you only answer the question. You cannot win then. You have to figure out how to get through that day so we could win tomorrow, but you cannot win then. I feel our young black males must be taught differently. It's not fair, it's not right, but you still have to teach them. It's different out here.
And I'll be glad when we don't have to have that conversation with our little black and brown boys. Nathaniel?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you asked a question how to deal with it. I can tell you how I deal with it. And I've been dealing with it for 57 years, right? Is number one, you know, you can't just focus on what's in front of you, because white supremacy and racism is not blatant anymore, okay? It's a double-edged sword. It's blatant in some areas, but it's not in other areas, all right? What you have to do is, number one, clean your mind. Stop watching so much TV. There's so much propaganda in all these shows. Yes, they have good plots. That's where they hook you. You're sitting there watching a damn good story, excuse my expression, but the subliminal messaging, the symbolism is killing you. Okay, it's molding your subconscious mind and your subconscious mindset to agree with white supremacy and what's out here. So when you do get pulled over or whatnot, you know, you don't know how to react, you don't know what to expect. Just like this lady said, okay? I've been pulled over a number of times. A number of times I was illegal, right? Driving no license, no registration, and all that kind of stuff, right? I yes sir and no sir myself to freedom. Okay, you see these YouTube videos and these issues, but one common denominator is that the person that's being arrested or being detained is confrontational. That's a personal thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes I've been arrested and the cop told me to do some stuff I didn't want to do, but I wanted to go home. So I thought what was more important, right? So I wasn't confrontational. If you can't, don't be confrontational, but stand up for your rights. And the last thing I'm going to say is, whenever you see racism, whether it be this person next to you or in your next class or down over here at Antonio's, call it out. You don't always have to call it out and be aggressive, right? You don't have to be physical, you know, but you can. Some people are racist and don't know. Some people do racist stuff and don't know. You know, it depends on your demographic, who you hang out with, right? But just call it out. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, that wasn't right. You know, that's not right. Just call it out.
One more comment, and then we're gonna play the video, and then we'll let you go eat. Forgive us.
This young man wants to share something.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to what Nate said, but I'll just give you an example, because I argue with my friends all the time about propaganda in the media, and I say it's intentionally done, and he says it's not real, people don't know what they're doing. But, you know, the other day I was in Best Buy, and y'all know the movie Pitch Perfect? Look at the poster for Pitch Perfect 2. I was looking at him, and there's a line of, you know, young women, all light-skinned there. I'm looking at it, and I said, look at that, there's no black girl, you know, in the poster. Then I looked again, and I saw her, she's all crouched down like this, you know, looking on the street and stuff like that. In their eyes, she's where she's supposed to be. So
Media
think about that.
messages, thank
There are
you.
only 6 major media outlets in the world, and
We
you
need to
know,
start owning some of them.
So if you want to, you know, portray your own message, you've got to start separating.
Thank you, and I'm gonna play the video.
For the reference.
My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
On the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, I decided to do an exercise that would help my students to understand racism. I tried to make a difference. I'm still trying to make that difference.
Is there anyone in this United States that we do not treat as our brothers? Yeah. Who? Yeah. The black people. How are black people treated? How are Indians treated? How are people who are of a different color than we are treated?
They're part of this world. They don't get anything in this world.
Why is that?
Because they're different colors.
I feel people need this because we are still doing now what we were doing in the 50s.
Is there anything about you people that is different from one another that we could use to make part of you?
Like your eyes, what color the eyes are?
Okay, we could use the color of your eyes. How many in here have blue eyes? Okay, how many in here have brown eyes? It might be interesting to judge people today by the color of their eyes. Would you like to try this?
I'm trying to get the people who participate in this exercise the opportunity to find out how it feels to be something other than white in this society. All right, people, I'm Jane Elliott. I'm your resident bitch for the day, and make no mistake about that. That's exactly what this is about. I do this in a mean, nasty way because racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia, ethnocentrism are mean and nasty. Today, I am here because I have been asked to do an exercise in discrimination based on eye color. Now, the purpose of this exercise is to give these nice, blue-eyed white kids the opportunity to spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours on the receiving end of the treatment which we mete out to people of color on a daily basis in this country. They're in a blue-eyed holding room right now. They are not eating, they are not drinking. There are 3 chairs in there for 12 people. We're going to bring these people in here. You're going to treat them as though they're inferior, because they are inferior. Everybody understand that? They're not going to learn because they can't learn, and because we're going to set it up so they can't learn. And if they succeed, who has failed? We have. Do you people want to fail? No. If they get power, who loses power? We do. You want to lose power? No. We're going to accuse them of not being as smart as we are. We're going to accuse them of not being as clean as we are. We're going to lower our expectations for them. We're going to force them to live down to our expectations of them. And when they do, we're going to blame their inability to perform on the color of their eyes. Now, in order to get them into their adult ego state, we're going to try to teach them the listening skills. Now, what do we call men that we want to keep in their childlike state? Boy. We're going to call these males boy. You're not going to use their given name. You're going to call them boy. or you're going to call them bluey, or you're going to call them fool. Now, people, what do we call women besides chicks? Honey, baby, gal, doll face, doll, dumpling. We are going to give them no respect. How many of you have friends in that group? Let me put it this way. How many of you used to have friends in that group? Because some of these people are going to leave here very angry. White people's #1 freedom in the United States of America is the freedom to be totally ignorant about those who are other than white. We don't have to learn about those who are other than white. And our #2 freedom is the freedom to deny that we're ignorant. Today, we're going to take away these people's freedom to be ignorant. I want you to understand how the system works. And believe me, this is how the system works. We make laws to support white superiority and to reinforce white superiority. And when you catch on to how it works, then we change the laws. I didn't invent this exercise. I learned this from Adolf Hitler. One of the ways they decided who went into the gas chamber was eye color. This exercise is not without precedent.
Go, people. Okay, let's go.
Now look at this, watch him. Look at him. Should we just sit anywhere? Should we just sit anywhere? If you came into a room in which the chairs were arranged in this way, and the brown-eyed people were sitting in these chairs in this way, and nobody was sitting in the chairs in the middle, where would you sit? In the middle. That would make sense to me. Would it make sense to you? Where are you going? Get in the blue-eyed section. The blue-eyed section is in the middle of the room. Get there. You're a non-brown? As far as I'm concerned, you're a bluey. Now, is this one giggling? What do you know about him? It's because he's ignorant? What else do you know about him? He's in his little child's ego state, isn't he? Get up here and sit down on the floor. You too, get up here and sit down on the floor.
I was really tired when I entered the room, but I didn't have any expectations. I was just sitting there and wondering how it could be an emotional experience.
On the day these white kids are in this exercise, they see themselves as other people see them for the first time in their lives. What are you going to do?
Sit here until you tell me to do something.
You see what he's doing?
I'm a girl.
See what she's doing?
It didn't take very long before intimidation set in, and before my buttons were pushed.
Now, while I've been talking, some of you have been sitting there reading the signs. I'm not going to put up with that any longer. So you in the back row, stand up and read the first sign on that wall back there.
Only brown eyes need apply?
Read it so we can hear you.
Only brown eyes need apply.
Next.
Why can't a blue eye be more like a brown?
Read it again. Get it right this time.
Why can't a blue eye be more like a brown?
Read it again. Get it right this time. Pronounce each one of those words correctly as they're written.
Why can't a blue eye be more like a brown?
Next.
I'm not prejudiced. Some of my best friends are blue-eyed.
How many of you have ever heard that one before in another form? Oh, yes. Favorite claim of liberals, right? I'm not prejudiced. Some of my best friends are black. Has any person ever said to you, any good liberal person ever said to you, when I see you, I don't see you black?
Every day!
Every damn day! How many of you have had that experience? When I see you, I don't see you black. And what do you say to them when they say that?
But I am.
But I am. And then what do they say?
They say, but I don't see color.
I don't see color. How many of you think they do see color? Well, people, if they didn't see color, they wouldn't say, when I see you, I don't see you black, because they wouldn't see black, would they?
You can't say, I don't see color, because then you'd be seeing in black and white. And that would be a really weird world to see. If everything was black and white, we would be some really messed up people.
It happens to me on a daily basis in the institution I'm at, and there's really no way around it, because whether people do it intentionally or not.
Do you know the physical aspects of the listening skills? You're afraid not? What about you?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. What about you?
A bit.
A bit? A bit?
Yes.
Well, tell me what the bit is that you know.
The bit that I know is that you stand up straight, you look at the person who's speaking, and you pay attention to what they're saying.
What if you're sitting down?
I am sitting down.
Then you can't listen, right?
No, you can listen by sitting down.
Oh, you just said you stand up straight?
I said you sit up straight.
Did she say you sit up straight, or did she say you stand up straight? Is this a universal problem with blue-eyed people? You have a paper and pencil with you?
No.
Do you?
Over in my bag, maybe.
Over in your bag? Yes. Why is it in your bag?
Because that's where I keep it.
That's where you keep it.
When I'm
Why
not
did you put
using
your paper and pencil over there?
Because I did not know when I was going to be needing it.
You came to a learning experience, right?
Yes.
Did you ever go to a learning experience before?
Yes.
Did you ever take notes?
Yes.
What did you use?
I used a paper and pencil.
Paper and pencil. And did you keep it with you so that you could take notes?
Yes.
Yes. Why didn't you do that this time?
Because I was not planning on taking notes.
You weren't planning on taking notes? You
No.
think you can remember everything that's going to be done in here and said in here?
Not word for word.
Not word for word, so what should you have done?
I
Probably, she's going to say, I probably should have done it right. What should you have done?
I should have brought my paper and pencil over here and kept it with me
That's
the entire
right.
time.
That's right. You're acting angry.
I am angry.
What are you angry about?
I'm angry that you're yelling at me.
Do you hear me yelling? This is yelling! Have I done that yet?
Okay, you're using a stern voice and
Are
it's making me angry.
you defining me?
No, I am not defining
Is she
you.
defining me? Does she say I'm yelling when I'm not? Perception is everything. Do you feel like I'm yelling at you?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Because you're using a stern voice.
Stern, honey, it isn't my fault you're stupid.
Would you like me
Now,
to go get my paper and pencil?
I wouldn't like you in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, then that's fine.
Let's get that understood here.
Okay.
This isn't a matter of whether I like you or not. Repeat after me. One hen.
One hand.
One hen, two, not hand, hen. 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 Lays eggs. One hen.
One hen.
One hen, two ducks.
One hen, two ducks.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese, four limerick oysters.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese, four Hemerick oysters.
Hemerick oysters?
I'm sorry.
Limerick oysters.
Limerick oysters.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese, four limerick oysters, five corpulent porpoises. You can remember everything, honey.
No,
This
I
isn't hard for you. Go for it.
One hen, two ducks, three squawking geese, four Limerick oysters, five, I forget the other one.
Do you wish you had a paper and pencil?
No.
Do you think you're going to need one if I keep testing you on that?
Yes.
Then are you going to wish you had a paper and pencil?
Yes.
Yes. So in the future, what are you going to do when you go to a learning situation?
Bring a paper and pencil.
And keep it with
Me.
you. Did you learn anything?
Yes.
Do you appreciate what you just learned?
Yes.
Did you like the way it was taught?
No.
No. Any of the rest of you ever taught in that fashion?
Yeah.
Yes. And did you have to express appreciation for it? Yeah. Could you learn something from her example? What are you crying about?
Sorry.
What are you crying about?
My feelings were hurt.
How were your feelings hurt?
Just weird.
Should I feel sorry for her?
I don't expect you to.
Should I feel sorry for her? Some of you are thinking, oh, this is too harsh for this young woman. James Byrd, black man in Texas, dragged to death behind a pickup truck by three white males. Matthew Shepard, young man about you're a little younger than you are, had the misfortune to be born gay, beaten with a pistol about the head until they cracked his skull. And then they hung him on a deer fence and left him there overnight. And somebody coming along on a bicycle the next day saw a bunch of clothing hanging on this deer fence, and they went over and started to take the clothing off the deer fence and found a body in the clothing. I'm sorry, but those things happen because we live in a society in which people are allowed to treat those who are different in an ugly way because of their differentness. I cannot shed tears for a young white female in this exercise who knows that this is an exercise, who knows that it's temporary, who knows that she's getting a college credit, 1 hour of credit for being here. I'm sorry. I have to save my sympathy and my empathy for those who go through something much worse than this every day of their lives.
Tears were coming in my eyes, and when I saw these people crying, I'm like, but it wasn't for them, it was for the fact that I know people who are going through that right now while we were sitting in that classroom and had the privilege and the time and the opportunity to be going through an experiment, that there were people outside who go through that 10 times worse than any student of color in that room.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. This is a powerful message that you have to take now outside of this room and continue the work that we started here today. I hope to see you again in our next presentation.
And I want to thank all the students for the good questions that you had and the adults that were in the room. Thank you for your input. Thank you, Reverend, for being here, and I hope we'll see you again.